and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. The way you step to me is like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. It's another We Talk Weekend and I am joined by my partner in crime, yes, Smack Talks. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, man. How's you?
I'm very good. I'm recovering from the onslaught of wrestling news that we've had this week. I mean, anybody could rock up at TNA at this rate. I mean, me and you stand a good chance of getting on the show as well.
I think so. Everyone seems to be going there.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about TNA and GFW and the shocking moment that Jeff Jarrett made his return to TNA Impact Wrestling. Talking about that today in detail. As well, we're going to be covering Brock Lesnar's return and also a little bit about Dolph Ziggler, because there was talk at a time that maybe Dolph would go to TNA because he's had enough of WWE, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of hate the whole Ziggler-Lana relationship. Don't you, Paul?
It's not great, is it? It's just wasted Ziggler again.
All it is, and all it's good for, is something that I do love, and that's the Rusev facial expression. So thank you, everybody, for sending in your facial expressions of Rusev.
Did you see him this week on Raw?
No.
He had a reaction where he seen them kissing, and he just threw his crutches around, fell to the floor, and that was priceless.
That's what I mean. It's gold. It's comedy gold. I mean, that's all that's needed, the Rusev face. And, you know, everybody sent me quite a few last week, actually, and some of them are great. Some of them are like, wow, and some of them are like, ooh. And then some of them were just angry. And some of them were just blank as a mother trucker. But it was all good. It was all good. So, let's talk about the WWE side of things first. Because we can get into the debacle that is TNA and GFW. And I'm sure we're going to spend quite a lot of time on that. But Brock Lesnar, the Beast. I don't know if he's much of a beast, though, anymore. Returned to Monday Night Raw, and what happened to the Beast?
I don't know what happened to the Beast. He's not the same, is he? He's been taken out by Kane.
This is it all. He's been taken out by Kane. I mean,
Kane? What happened?
The trouble is, when I saw this and I watched it back, I was like, holy crap. I mean, this guy has sustained 4 AAs and bounced back up. He got Superman punched to hell at WrestleMania. Still, no problem. He bounced up from everything that's been thrown at him. He's destroyed The Undertaker in terms of defeating the streak. He battered John Cena with 16 German suplexes. And do you know what keeps him down? A choke slam.
Well, that's the thing. The Undertaker will be watching that going, oh, damn, I should have chokeslammed him.
It should have spoke to Kane. Kane seems to have, you know, the the elixir to stop the Beast.
Well, it's just a bit, I don't know why they seem to like feel the need to do that. Like, surely it would take a lot more to actually stop the Beast after what he's become. I mean, pulling him at the ring post and hitting him with a chair, I think that kind of helped. But I still expected Lesnar to get the upper hand in this situation.
Did this damage Lesnar's credibility in this moment? Because when I look at it and I sit there and I think to myself, I mean, Jesus Christ, we've got Joey Mercury, you know, and we've got Jamie Noble well, I think it was more Mercury after the Beast did destroy Noble, but picking up Lesnar. How is this possible? You seen the size difference? He's picking him up. What?
Wait, he's obviously been down the gym, hasn't he?
It just was wrong. It just didn't work. What would have worked is if this was in a slightly different time when we had Evolution around. If we're talking about Randy Orton, Triple H and Batista doing this damage, it absolutely works because you've got 3 previous world champions there who should be able to break down the Beast by picking him off. But not Rollins, Mercury, Noble, and Kane. This just does not work.
It doesn't. It would have made so much more sense if it was like you say, an evolution type situation where you've got all those big guys coming in. But when you've got Kane, you've got Rollins, and then J&J, it just doesn't look like that sort of powerhouse stable.
And what was Heyman doing throughout all of this? He just watched it happen. Are we maybe seeing a setup here for Lesnar?
I don't know about that. I think Lesnar will probably still overcome it at some point, but I get the upper hand in. I don't think Lesnar can do it every single week, and it gives you a bit of doubt with them sort of targeting the knee of Lesnar. So it gives Rollins some kind of chance where if they'd just gone straight in the way Brock was, everyone just expect him to dominate and just destroy Rollins. So at least it sort of puts it a bit more in the balance, and maybe you won't be expecting it as much. But I'm sure it'll be the same finish we always get, where the whole authority get involved and try and make sure that Seth retains. But like I've said so many times, it's just something that I'm so sick of seeing.
I just didn't get the way it was played out. It didn't work. Where was Triple H? Triple H hitting him with a pedigree? Something like that works because you've got a champion. Yeah, Rollins is a champion. Yeah, fine. But I'm talking about somebody that can do serious damage. I can't take. I was going to call him Crane. He's probably getting like that. Kane. I can't take him seriously anymore. Him trying to dominate Lesnar is a no-go. If we cast our minds back, Lesnar has F5'd, I think, Kane and Big Show, and he's destroyed these guys previously. So for this to happen the way it did, I just don't think it worked for the Beast. The Beast should have come out there and destroyed, and then something happened to pick him off. And whether that be maybe Triple H coming out and doing the damage, that would have worked. And then the numbers game comes into play. But they just no. It was too weak. He's made to look really weak, and he's meant to be this beast that has done so much. And they blew it. They blew it.
It was. They need to do something different just to freshen things up, because it doesn't work with J&J and people in there. It's good fun comedy at times with them. I enjoy that. I like J&J, but you want someone in there that's going to make up the team and make them actually look like a dominant faction. And then it gives them the credibility to take out Brock Lesnar. So maybe they should bring in some more and just expand the authority and keep it sort of fresh at that point.
Where was the Big Show during all of this? I mean, if you're going to get some powerhouse...
Well, he's too busy with Ryback at the minute. Or Flyback, as he called himself. He hit a splash off the top rope as a finisher.
Flyback. Really?
That's what he's going with.
Right. And then what about maybe they should just take a leaf out of my universe mode. Why not get Mark Henry as his bodyguard?
He could do. I don't know if you say though, Mark Henry, Kane, and Big Show.
Yeah, I
don't want to see that.
They need to surround Rollins. What should have happened is that Rollins should have got rid of J&J at the point where it looked like they were going to get rid of J&J. And he could have brought in maybe two new guys. Maybe someone from NXT could have just brought some guys through and used them, and they actually are really credible. So that's the obvious thing that you would do if you're the champion, you're worried, you're a bit of a coward. You go and acquire two people that can do you some serious damage. You don't go and get the guy back who's not trusted you the whole time you've been in the authority, which is Kane, and you don't go and get your two little weaklings in terms of J&J. So I can't... I don't know. Am I summing up how much I didn't like this segment?
Yeah, but I think I'm in total agreement with you. I would much rather than bring in two of the new guys, because I like J&J, and I think the crowd likes J&J. So at that point where you thought it was over, I would have happily seen them just enter the tag division. It gives them another tag team, and I think they actually do well. They're a great team together. Mercury's already got the past with Morrison. So I think they would make a great tag team and just put them in the tag division, and then everyone can get behind them, and you can bring someone else into the authority at that point.
I sort of think off the top of my head when I'm thinking about who they could have maybe used, but they obviously can't now because they've made changes. But things like, to me, the primetime players could have been pretty good. You could have had, if you've got them as heels, you could have really utilised them and had them, they could have been involved in the authority. The primetime players, they've got that swag about them. Titus O'Neil doesn't really muck around. That they could have been good to help pick him off. But I'm just thinking of teams that could have worked. The New Day maybe didn't. If they'd gone down the nation sort of route, yes, New Day could have kind of helped out there.
What I thought was like, if they hadn't totally ruined the Ascension, then you've got like two big guys there that have actually like got some
there you go.
Sort of power and force behind them, but they've totally ruined them, so they can't actually bring them in at this point.
Give them a lot of credibility back there as well, getting them involved in the world title picture. So
they did have a decent match on Raw though, so
yeah, but spent force. They made too many mistakes.
Damage has already been done.
This is it. This is the overall problem. I was talking about this a little bit on Twitter, and we're going to kind of move into Dolph Ziggler anyway now. And somebody put out a tweet saying that Dolph Ziggler is kind of a spent force. He's not, in terms of being a world champion, can you ever see it? And I really think that the issue with Dolph has always been that WWE have always missed the boat with him. They give him half of the opportunities when he's in the world title picture. They give him loads of opportunities when he's in the Intercontinental Championship picture, and they give him the belt so many times, but they give him the belt so many times that the novelty wears off and you don't want to see him as a champion anymore. And to that degree, then people get tired and they don't want to see Dolph Ziggler as a world champion in the persona that he's currently got. I don't want to see this version of Ziggler become champion anytime soon. A heel version of Ziggler, like he was with Big E and AJ back in the day, yeah, definitely. Get him back as a heel, I could see him becoming a champion again. But this is what I mean, the demise of storylines that's happened with Ziggler. And we're moving on to Ziggler because it sounds like he's signed a new deal, which you clued me up on before we went live. And there was a lot of rumours that he could leave because of all the fudgy storylines he was given. But have they really, is this the sort of guy where they've just missed the boat like all the time, and even in this storyline now, just damaging him more and more? Why would he sign a deal? Why would he want to sign the deal? Obviously, he paid a lot, but credibility?
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, one of the reasons I thought like there might be something behind all these rumours that he was going to leave and that he could actually go to TNA was if I was Ziggler and I was in his position, I would be really disheartened at sort of what's gone on, because he had so much promise and so much that he'd sort of accomplished early on, win the Money in the Bank, become World Heavyweight Champion. And then ever since then, it's just been... It's gone downhill, and he's just never really recovered from it. Anytime he does look like he's recovering, like he'll win the Continental title, and then that'll suddenly be away from him because it'll go absolutely nowhere. And it's bad booking because the storylines just aren't there. Whereas in the past, when he's had AJ with him, when he's had Big E, they've all worked well. They've been good storylines. But everything since then, it's just been something to sort of tide him over and sort of keep things going. But it's never actually gone anywhere, and it's more hurt him than anything.
Yeah, and it's like this Lana feud. I mean, it just feud, love, whatever. Lana Rusev.
Not sure what's going on.
Yeah, it really just came out of the blue. It was like, oh, she likes Dolph Ziggler because he makes her feel special and all that sort of rubbish. And then it was all like, it just kind of, I just sort of sat there and thought, oh, how can he be happy with this? He's quite vocal on Twitter. He did voice his opinion quite a few times that he wasn't happy, but I don't get why they always do this with him. It's like, oh, Ziggler's popular, so let's put him down this route. We haven't got anything to do with Lana, but we want to make sure Lana gets over in the company, so we'll pair him up with Dolph. But it doesn't make any impact on storylines at the moment in terms of what Dolph was actually doing. Dolph was like quite, dedicated in a feud with Sheamus a little while ago, and now he's been pulled out of all of that and now cast into this, I don't know what you want to call it, shitstorm. He's been put into that, and meanwhile, take a look at Sheamus over there, grabbing the Money in the Bank, and he's, going sky high.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's just, you wonder if it's something to do with the fact that he speaks out, because they're always like, oh, we appreciate people that speak out and tell what's going on, and then it's like, hang on, he spoke out? How dare he do that? He's not allowed to do that. Like, so maybe he's getting kind of punished for that.
get back in your box.
But
probably.
why would they then re-sign him and just carry on doing it if they're not happy with him speaking out? And he obviously wants change, so why would he sign a contract unless he's been guaranteed that something is going to be coming up for him?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So hopefully there is something coming up for him. The question is as well is, you know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, if he went to TNA, why would you want to do that? But and obviously going to cross the path with TNA soon, or cross the line.
Cross the line, yeah.
That's so cheap. That's unreal. But, you know, obviously Ziggler, he would do well in TNA. And
well, he'd be the main attraction. It'd be like when Christian went there and he just skyrocketed straight at the top of it.
And you have got that good talent base there. You've got guys that would be able to wrestle with him perfectly, complement his style. Like, I could imagine Aries with him having a match. Rude would be very good. It's like, you know, I can see that. So when people like, why would you want to go TNA? But because look at the bigger, don't just take the name. Don't just keep doing that. Don't just keep going, TNA shit. Yeah, I don't like that. Look at the actual, what could go on there. He'd become the main guy. The focus would be around him. But I always question why. Because when you look at it as well, Alberto Del Rio had that option to not. You know, so maybe, again, it's not the in place to go TNA for a lot of guys. But I do think the bigger picture is it could work very nicely for them because they'd be the top guy.
Well, if there's someone that's like completely over with the fans like Ziggler, then it would work. But someone like Del Rio, like obviously being more of the heel, then he's not going to get the same reaction if he goes to TNA. I think he'd struggle a lot more. Yeah,
and I think the draw, obviously, I think they're taping in Orlando at the moment. If you found out Dolph Ziggler was there, whereas Del Rio, he's a heel, so it's, you know, love-hate. But if it's Ziggler and you found out he's going to be at Universal, then it's going to draw the crowd, isn't it?
It is. It's something that's going to pull the crowd in. That's why TNA will keep bringing in the guys that leave the WWE, especially when it's a big name like Ziggler. And it's not just like your random guy leaving, like someone that's been in the shadow of someone, like Luke Gallows or someone like that. Mm-hmm. This is like a big name superstar that will bring in people to watch the product. So I can understand why they would do that, but I guess TNA has just not got the what's the word? Just it's not very like set in stone that it's going to be around for so long. If you like go by the rumors, so maybe he doesn't want to risk his future at that point.
Well, they've sort of done what Dolph Ziggler's had happen to him. They've missed their opportunities a lot of the time. But you're 100% right when you say about TNA, why they acquire those guys, because it does draw. And regardless or not of my now thought on the Hogan Bischoff era, when I went to Orlando, and this was a long time ago, but when I went there and I knew that I could go to Universal Studios and go and watch or see Hulk Hogan in the flesh, my ticket's already sold. I didn't even have to buy a ticket. I just had to make sure I got in the right queue. I got in for free. I mean, if you're getting in for free and you're going to go see Hulk Hogan, that's the draw.
Hang on, did you go then? Did you go in for free?
I have been, yeah. I've been to the Impact Zone and I got in for free.
Maybe that explains something though, like what I'll probably bring up when we start talking TNA. It's one of the issues that I have with TNA.
You don't have a hardcore fan base down at Orlando. You did. You used to. To be fair, when I went there, this is probably, 2007? It's a long time ago. And when I went there, obviously Hogan and Bischoff were just started out. We had some stupid shit going on with Abyss getting the Hogan ring, the Hall of Fame ring, and it made Abyss have more powers than what he used to have. Yeah. I know, shit storyline, don't get me wrong. But I got to see Sting, I got to see Jeff Jarrett. But the draw was Hogan. So, you know, that says it all. And if you complain that TNA sign ex-WWE guys, you're not getting it. Because that's the draw for a lot of people. If you're not invested into that product and you're hosting a show at somewhere like Universal Studios where there's loads of shit going on, that is why people are going, because they see a big name up on the board and they see it on the arena and they're going to go. So you can't really question that. It's just, I'm pretty sure what you're going to tell me is the fans aren't great down there, but they used to be. they used to have a hardcore following there. Basically, I watched TNA back when I went there, and then for 3 or 4 weeks after, I saw the same freaking guy, and it wasn't because the show was taped like the same night and had about 100 episodes like they do now, but I saw the same guy week in, week out there. They had a real hardcore following there. Then they moved out, and then they probably lost that following. They lost the studio. I think the arena looks better now, but still doesn't have that great a crowd there. And we are definitely moving in to TNA territory now. But that's my view with Ziggler, is if you went there, he'd draw and people would go and watch him.
Yeah, I totally agree with the Ziggler point. But like, if we transition over to TNA,
go on then.
My issue is
the
whole reaction. Like, the arena looks great. Like, everything they do in terms of like graphics and things, it's all on point. But the crowd was so dead. It was like there was no reaction whatsoever. Like, Jeff Jarrett comes out and it was supposed to be this huge thing, and yet the crowd really went behind it. There was no real chants or anything like that. And you could see like the crowd behind Jarrett, and there's like little kids just talking to like the parents, people on the phones. Like, no one seemed to be interested. And with you saying that they give away these tickets for free and they come in, it's like, well, these aren't your wrestling fans. It's people that's gone to the park and thought, oh, we can catch a wrestling show. Like, we'll go in and see that. And there's no real interest there. And it's not getting the sort of reaction that it really deserves if you want to get in your hardcore wrestling fans that actually pay in and want to be there. So maybe it's the location that they're at. If they were to move location to a place where it's got a good wrestling following, you get them fans in, it just adds so much to the experience. But then you've got these promos and guys putting on some incredible matches, and there's just no real reaction because these aren't proper wrestling fans. They're just people that's on holiday and thought, oh, well, we'll catch the show while we're here.
That's true. That's 100% true. But you say that, but they moved to New York for a while and did tapings in New York for a long time. Crowd was awesome to start off with, then it ducked again. This is the trouble. It's the American draw to this company, and people are right. You know, time and time again, they've let the fans down by making silly decisions, and that's why they don't have that fan base that go out to watch these shows. I remember then they debuted on Destination America. The crowd was seriously hot down in New York, but as the weeks went by, it kind of pittered out. So it's really difficult. You come to a TNA show here in the UK, and it's probably more for the American side. It's electric. The crowd is amazing at these shows, and that's why they love coming here, because they actually get a WWE-esque kind of crowd. In fact, they get a better crowd than WWE because 90% of it are here to watch wrestling. It's not like kiddie John Cena style. But that's the problem, is how do they rekindle the old school? And I'm thinking move back to Nashville.
I think that would help, but one counterpoint that I'll bring up is you say that the crowd fades out. Wouldn't you fade out though if they were taping so much? Like, and you had to sit through so many shows. Like, by the last show, you'd be like, oh God, is it time to go yet?
That's
and
the
then
problem.
When they start off another night and you've got a fresh crowd in, they've taped so much the previous night, no one knows what's going on because there's so much gone on between then, it hasn't aired. So it's like you'll have people that's joined up together, you've got a new faction and things, and it's like, well, hang on, we don't know how these guys come together. People will come out and it'll be like the first time they've come out that night, and you might cheer them, but they've come out as a heel because they've changed like the previous night, but no one knows because that hasn't actually aired. So I think taping so much in advance, it has so many problems. That's where they're going wrong. But until they sort that out and they're making the money where they can actually do it as a sort of weekly taping, then it's just causing more problems than it needs to.
Yeah. Can't disagree on that. When I've been to the UK shows, they're great for wrestling, but I ain't got a clue what's going on. Because 1 minute I'll give you a good example of this. I've got when we went, I don't think it was last year, the year before that, we had a segment with Magnus and Joe. They came out at the beginning of the show, so we're thinking this is the intro of the show, right? Then probably about 2 or 3 more times they came out during the night. But obviously they were taping different versions of Impact. But then what they did at the end, because we thought the show was over, they came out again and they cut the same promo that they cut at the start of the show. And the reason being was that they recorded it wrong and they had to re-record. I'm sitting there thinking, like, I've had a lot to drink by this point. So, you know, I've had a couple of beers for the working man, as Steve Austin would say. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what? I saw this at the beginning. You know, it's like, so yeah, the whole taping side of things is very frustrating if you go and watch it live. But the trouble is the money aspect. To host a show live is more expensive. You have to get talent in, and I think talent are used to now doing pre-recorded shows. I don't know how they counter this, but one thing you pointed on which is a positive for TNA is the whole look of the show. Like, I love the whole entranceway that they've got at Orlando. I love the look of it. I love the visuals that they've put together. I even like the logo now, which I wasn't too sure about. But I think production value, they do it just as well as WWE in terms of the look of the show. The trouble is where they let themselves down is when it comes to pay-per-views and stuff, not elevating them pay-per-views in terms of look and style. Like Slammiversary, branding-wise, should be Slammiversary this, different coloured ropes, boom, 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 fireworks, you know, all that shizzle. That should all be there. Never ever do that because they don't understand their pay-per-view scheme still at the moment.
Well, I can't argue with that. I think it looks so good, like they're doing such a good job there. But there's so many other areas where they're letting themselves down. And because you've mentioned Slammiversary, I'll bring this up now.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know Slammiversary was going to be a live event because it's like the promotion hasn't really been there and everyone's used to these being like taped in advance now. So like when I heard there was a live show this Sunday, I was like, oh, are you kidding? It's actually live? I'll actually stay up and watch that. So like I'm interested in it. But then here comes the problem. Because watching Impact this week, it was such a good show. We had Metal Mayhem. I can't remember what's
Full Metal Mayhem.
Full Metal Mayhem.
The Dirty Heels, Aries and Rude against the Wolves, yeah?
Such a good match. It's basically TLC, like for anyone watching from WWE. So like it's such a good match and you had that team putting on an incredible show. You had Jeff Jarrett's return, all these like good things that all come together and put together a great live show that they've done. But Slammiversary is this Sunday. Why are you not saving that Full Metal Mayhem match for that show to give people a reason to watch it? Instead, we've got a regular tag team match on the Slammiversary card that then determines who picks the stipulation for the next match. But it's not a tag team match, it's a singles match between one competitor from one tag team and one from the other. So whoever wins then picks the stipulation for the next match, which is the final in the best of 5 series. Surely that best of 5 series should end on the pay-per-view. And then in addition to that, the problem is next week's Impact is already being taped.
Yeah, this is a problem. And
you've also got no title match on the Slammiversary card.
I was going to say that.
That takes place on Impact next week. And all the promotion throughout Impact, aside from a slight bit saying Slammiversary is this Sunday and Jeff Jarrett promoting Global Force Wrestling, was check out next week's Impact Wrestling because we've got a women's knockouts title match. We've got the World Heavyweight Championship match, the ending to the best of 5 series. Why is all that taking place on Impact on free TV when you finally got a pay-per-view that actually people are going to pay for? It's going to bring in some money. And the match card for it is, it's a complete letdown when you look at what's been taking place on Impact.
Well, yeah.
That's where TNA is totally backwards to me. I kind of get around that.
It is. And what you've just said is bang on point because I tweeted, I don't know, did you see my tweet to Dixie Carter yesterday?
Possibly. I know she's on first name terms with a J-man, so maybe he can get word to her.
Really? Jay?
Yeah?
Hook a brother up, man. Come on. Get me in the back door. Oh, that sounds dodgy. Get me in there.
Get yourself in Dixie's back door, what are you going to say?
Yeah, I just want to visit Dixieland. Oh, this doesn't sound good. Anyway, what I was saying was I tweeted Dixie, right? And this is what I said. This is summing up the Jeff Jarrett bit. And we're going to talk about the Jeff Jarrett arrival in detail as well. This is kind of a TNA GFW sort of We Talk special, so to speak. But I tweeted her because I had to give her praise for the show that she put on, but then I have to pull her up on a few things, and she would be wise to listen to me, I think, because, you know.
Well, she'll listen to anyone. Anyone just like says something, she'll like, oh, I'll try that.
She
It's
should.
usually the wrong people, though.
So this is what I kind of said to her. I won't give you the everything, but I'll give you the gist. So I said it was an awesome show, and it was great what you're doing with Jeff, and the buzz around Slammiversary is immense because people are looking forward to the King of the Mountain match. But please make me understand your pay-per-view setup. Why is EC3 versus Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight Championship on an episode of Impact and not Slammiversary? Surely this pay-per-view is where a match of this size should be held. Yeah? So I went on to say to her, you know, I'm a YouTuber. I'm a wrestling YouTuber. You know, I'm proper invested in your company. I go and watch every year when they come across here to the Maximum Impact tours. I love this company because I want them to succeed. And I'm giving you some constructive criticism here. And I said, what else did I say? I said I visit the Maximum Impact tour. And I said the Slammiversary card should have been this, or close to this. So you've got Storm versus Magnus, which I think is like Last Man Standing or something like that. Jesse Goddard versus Robbie E, which is personal because of the bromance kind of splitting up. And you've got Kong and Brooke, Awesome Kong, versus the Dollhouse. Taryn Terrell is so hot. Then you've got the King of the Mountain, which obviously Jeff's making his return. Please don't win. But great to see him back. And then you should have had EC3 versus Kurt Angle as your main event because you've been billing this for shitloads of time. EC3 has been the greatest introduction to their company for some time now. Perfect. Got, you know, sort of didn't do well at NXT. They didn't want him. He's come over to TNA to apply his trade. He's been awesome. He's built himself up perfectly. He's defeated the likes of Sting. His storyline that TNA have told with him is perfect, the way they've done it. And now he's facing Kurt Angle, which reignites the rivalry they had previously. And it's all coming to a head. And it's coming to a head at a standard TNA show. And not a freaking pay-per-view like Slammiversary. How can you give this away like that? And that's my point. You're giving it away.
That's the thing. They should be selling this. It's something that's going to make money if it's on a pay-per-view. So give people the reason to watch it. Put that best of 5 matches, the Full Metal Mayhem on there as well, and you've got a solid card. But why save it all for Impact?
I mean, when you look at what happened on this Impact episode, like you say, you got Jarrett back. They brought out Matt Morgan. He's in the mix, and you're thinking to yourself, "Crap!" You know, you get Morgan on the card as well. I quite like Matt Morgan, to be honest. I thought they should have done better with him. And you know, there's so much stuff that they could have put into this Slammiversary pay-per-view and made it special and put their stamp of approval to say that finally we get it. And they've always got to this stage in the past. They get there and then they let us down. Like they did this with Joe and Magnus. The rivalry was awesome. The storyline was great. And they went and done all sorts of crazy shit which shouldn't have happened. And that was around about Bound for Glory a few years back. But now the buzz is there. Like you've got Ring of Honor on Destination America. We've got TNA on Destination America. Global Force Wrestling, possibly on Destination America. Crossovers could happen. Where should it happen? Slammiversary, big pay-per-view, but you're recording so far ahead that quite clearly nothing of that scale is going to happen because nothing's happened on the recorded shows.
Well, that's the thing. It would have made a lot of sense if like the GFW roster invaded and helped Jarrett win the match, but they haven't sort of had any kind of sort of crossovers in all these tapings since, so you know nothing's going to happen like that. You're just wondering what's going to happen with the match. And they have actually added a stipulation, so it's not just a random match, which is what it originally was.
I don't know this stipulation yet, do I?
You don't?
Oh,
like,
no.
I've got some TNA news that you don't actually know.
Oh, please don't hurt me, TNA, with some bad stipulation.
Okay, so are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The winner of the King of the Mountain match will become the new TNA King of the Mountain champion with their own championship belt.
You're fucking around.
That is 100% true.
Nah.
What do you think of that?
You are mucking around, yeah?
No, this is legit, 100% legit.
Why would they do that?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? My guess is Jarrett's going to win the match, and he's going to take that championship, and that's going to become the Global Force Wrestling Championship.
What the fuck? Why?
Because if he wins it, like, he's not going to stick around to defend it. So maybe it'll be a thing between him and Dixie where he's like, I'm taking the title. But does it really mean much? Because he's only just come back and it's going to be a new title.
Why the hell do you need a King of the Mountain belt? When's it going to be defended? Every time you've got to do it in a King of the Mountain match.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It doesn't really make too much sense that way, does it?
No. Why on earth would you want to have a King of the Mountain belt? I mean, surely, I'm just trying to work out how this can work. I'm like shocked. So let's get this straight for a sec. Jarrett wins, yeah? Then he's got to defend this belt. So he could sod off and go to GFW with the belt. But then he could come back to TNA and defend this. And it would be like a special attraction because he's defending it in King of the Mountain matches. Because King of the Mountain matches are not going to be on Impact. Well, they probably will because that's the way TNA do things. But it shouldn't be. And it should be defended on pay-per-view. So, maybe I get this. But you can't have a belt that's just defended per pay-per-view. That makes no sense.
It's completely, like, there's no sense behind it whatsoever. And when you hear, like, King of the Mountain, like, championship, you would expect it's got to be a King of the Mountain championship match, as in, like, the match type itself. But who wants to see that match, like, every time you have, like, a pay-per-view? If it is every time there's a pay-per-view, then there's 2 pay-per-views a year. So that's, like, 2 matches a year. Like, how are you supposed to defend it? What's going on with this? There's got to be something planned with GFW, and this title's got to go over there, something like that. I mean, what's next? You're going to have, like, the ladder match championship, the table match championship. It's just all a bit ridiculous, I think.
Why isn't this a number 1 contenders match for either the winner between Ethan Carter and Kurt Angle?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was reading this article, and I thought, well, it is, they've added the new stipulation, that. And I was like, oh, well, it's going to be number 1 contendership for the world title. King of the Mountain Championship. What?
And like if you did it for a number 1 contenders match, like, then it gives Jarrett a reason to stay on. And then, like, I mean, you have EC3 feuding with Jeff Jarrett. EC3, the face of TNA, as much as the crowd dislike it, but Ethan Carter's the perfect guy to bring the company forward. And then he's going up against Global Force Wrestling. And then you have guys like AJ Styles rock up and say, I used to be the face, you're the face now. Bang, have a match with them. Do I have to book this myself every time?
It's so, like, what you've just said, you've come up there in 30 seconds with, like, a great plan for it. It makes so much more sense. The TNA Championship is what it should be about. If Jarrett wins anything, it should be that. And then it should be a struggle of whether he takes that with him or not.
It's Jarrett's belt.
Adding a new championship that just has no prestige or anything, who cares?
No, exactly. It's Jarrett's belt, though. That's the thing, even more so. You know, he could be like, that's my belt. That's my belt. I want it back. I came here just to do the King of the Mountain. I won it. I got the number 1 contender shot. Now I'm after this. And then you start getting the guys involved and it starts taking over. But then TNA fights back. Am I the only one that can seem, or are we the only 2 that can seem to think logically about this? I don't think we are. I think the rest of the wrestling community sees this. Why doesn't TNA see it?
I've got no answer for you. I just find it hilarious that, like, Dixie's thinking, oh, what can we do? What can we do? What's obvious? No, we don't want to go with the obvious. What's something that's completely ridiculous that we can go for and no one will see it coming?
See, this is what annoys me when, like, let's say I like Taz, but let's say I tweet something to Taz and he tells me, well, you wouldn't know because you're not in the situation. You're not a part of a wrestling company. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. I can book something which at the moment could come across better because I watch the industry all the time. I don't have to be physically there to make a better booking. You know, I can see it. Maybe that's why I can see it because I'm further away from the product. And if you're so invested in it, Taz can see it now. just taking that aside for a minute, he sees it now because he points out all the faults every week on his podcast. But if you're in it, do you see it? I still think somebody should be there telling them or can see it. So I'm very confused. I'm totally... I don't understand who's making those decisions. Is it John Gaburik? Is it Dixie Carter? Is it the guy from the Smashing Pumpkins? Because if he's going to smash anything, he should be smashing some heads together. Because a King of the Mountain championship... Anyone noticed as well the fact, just to touch on it, Billy Corgan, I think that's his name, but he used to talk to Jeff Jarrett a lot about TNA. Once he got in the fold, all this GFW stuff starts coming in. Is this not been planned for quite some time?
It could be. They could be taken out from the inside. One thing I will bring up, though, is like a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned the new X Division Championship being green.
It's a crossover belt, isn't it?
It looks like it's going to definitely be that case now. There's no other reason for it to be green other than if Jarrett's on board.
I don't know. I'm like hulking up. I'm going green.
What do you think if Jarrett was to just buy Impact Wrestling?
I don't think that's possible.
Do you not think so?
No. Do you want to know why?
Why is that?
Because I think there's a lot of people out there that seem to think that it's a GFW purchase of TNA coming up. I'd like to see it from the other side of that. TNA is giving Jeff Jarrett exposure that he would never get at the moment.
But why would you do that? You're trying to establish your own program. Why give the focus to another?
Destination America.
But why would they do that? They're not saying bring Ring of Honor on board.
I think Destination America want to make this like a home for professional wrestling to rival. It won't rival WWE, but to be a rival of some sort. And the crossovers will start to happen. And I think obviously with Jarrett's relationship with TNA, it works perfectly. I don't know how it works with talent because I really don't. Am I expecting to see the Bullet Club rock up on Impact? Probably not. Am I expecting AJ Styles to want to be involved in this whatsoever? Not necessarily, but it would make amazing television to watch. But I don't think that. I think TNA have given him a branch to move off of. I don't think. I don't know why. It must, like I say, it must be a bigger picture. Maybe Destination America putting in the idea, but something must be there because I don't think it's all one way. A lot of people are just saying it's GFW taking over TNA. No. TNA is still the power player out of the three, in my view. I think TNA, and I'm not saying because based on best wrestling or anything like that, TNA is the one that is the biggest out of the three. And production value shows that. GFW don't even have a proper wrestling show at the moment, TV or not. And then Ring of Honor, yeah, they produce great wrestling, but production-wise, they're not as good as TNA. So TNA is the power player. I just don't understand what's going on with them at the moment. Is this a whole crossover? Don't know. You tell me.
I think that's something that we're going to have to wait and see. But what I would say is, how do you feel if they were to do that, if they'll have the crossover and you had JFW guys coming in? Because they've spent so much time now getting themselves back on track and they've built up these people to be like people like EC3, where like they're on top now and they seem to be on the right track with what they're doing. Would you want someone coming in and invading that kind of takes the focus away from that? And then you have to kind of lose to these new guys to put them over? Because a lot of the people on the GFW roster are people from Japan and sort of the indie circuit, where like your television viewers won't really know as much as like your main wrestling fans who these guys are. So you'd have to spend the time actually putting them over first.
If it was done correctly, possibly. And the reason why I say that is if you've got guys like EC3 actually facing it up and heading it up and wanting to go head to head with them, and then we have some sort of maybe head to head matches like AJ versus EC3, and I'd say, I might be wrong, a lot of people would disagree, but EC3 should win that match off the basis, not because I love AJ Styles, he should never have been cast aside by TNA in the first place. Stupendous decision. But if EC3 wins that, it starts the war, and if they're working together, like we hope they are in some sort of way, and this isn't just the whole thing of a merger and it all goes tits up, but if EC3 starts that war, he's a credible champion. Then he's knocked down AJ Styles or something. Then we start seeing what else comes in, and it's like boom, 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 something's going on, and you get all your main guys up there. In the meantime, you do keep your current storylines going, but you don't want an invasion angle on every segment, but you want it leading up to the main bit and to a big payoff. But that payoff can't be GFW taking over TNA, because that kaputs everything in terms of the work that TNA have done. If Dixie Carter's just going to sell up now, why? You've got a good product at the moment. Unless your hand's being forced, I don't understand it.
Well, there's been more problems with pay, because like the last couple of weeks of says that they didn't get the pay again. It was delayed. So there's been a lot of people like tweeting from the Impact roster, like disheartened at that and not sure what's going on. So if the time was to come where she does eventually sell up, I think there's already been points where she should have done that, and it surprises that she hasn't. So at this point, I don't think she would sell up.
But my fear of her selling up is what happens to your guys like EC3, because the booking will then sway towards Global Force Wrestling guys, and you'll see guys like AJ Styles probably rise back to the top if it's a merger of companies. And my feeling is then you're going to crush some of these guys that are awesome, that have worked really hard to get where they belong. Your Rockstar Spuds and stuff like that as well, who've managed to develop themselves into quite the characters. That's my concern of it. And I don't know, let's actually just talk about the Jeff Jarrett arrival. I don't know if you noticed. First of all, I'm going to say, why in the blue hell didn't his music play when he first come out? Did he actually come down the ramp, or did he come from a side entrance or something? It was a bit weird, the entrance that he made. Well, I thought he came through the front. Maybe he came out the side. But I watched... This is sort of 2 points to this. I watched the GFW backstage filming where they arrived at the arena. Did you see this?
I did, yeah.
So they arrive at the arena with Karen and the kids and stuff, and Karen's like reluctant to do it. I don't know if this is all a bit of a play. I think it was quite a heartfelt speech that Jarrett did, because there were some home truths in there. But did you notice, and I think a few people tweeted about this as well, did you notice the reaction of Austin Aries when he came through the curtain and saw Jeff Jarrett for the first time?
Was Aries the guy that sort of blanked him and walked past him?
He was. So, how would you feel if Aries has come through the curtain, and this is what I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but apparently the entire roster did not know about this segment, and that includes Kurt Angle. How you cannot tell Kurt Angle this, I do not freaking understand. You have to tell him this. The amount of issues he's had with Jarrett and Karen over the years, you tell him. He's your champion, and he's the biggest draw of your company, whether you like it or not, and you didn't tell him, but they didn't tell any of the talent, apparently. So
that is ridiculous, that.
Stupendous. But
it is like... It's nothing really to be surprised about, though, because there's so many times in the past where TNA have not done that on purpose. Like, I'm sure they've done it when they were recording that, the other show or something where it's backstage, and they didn't want to tell them so that they'd get the reactions.
But you did get the reactions, because you got Aries come through the curtain and look at him like, what the fuck? And I also think that this is what I've heard as well. When WWE has a segment they don't want anyone to know about, they just put 10 minutes in their in their written structure. So it says 10 minutes. It doesn't say anything else, just says 10 minutes. And that will be the moment. TNA didn't even map in a time because they wanted it to be such a surprise that no one knew. So they didn't map in any time for this. So what they did have to do was then cut short things to make Jarrett have his time. Did they cut short the Full Metal Mayhem match? So did Aries get told... Did they get told, wrap it up? Because you can imagine the reaction to that. And you go backstage, see him coming out thinking, I've just given my spot to you.
That would make sense, that would. Like, I think if I was on the TNA roster and there was all this concern about the company and the future for it, whether it's still going to be around, and then you go backstage and you suddenly see Jeff Jarrett, and you know he's bringing up some competitor in the future, it would just fill me with a load of worry.
Wearing a GFW shirt at the show, it's almost like Vince all over again at WCW. I'm taking over. You're going to be thinking, what's he doing here?
Well, that's the thing. It's not going to fill the roster with confidence. And the one thing that you should be doing is giving them reassurances and just saying, look, things are okay. This is the plan. This is what's going on. But you're not doing that. You're not telling them anything at all.
Yeah, and what we saw a few more guys being released from the company. We saw Gunner be released, who's a good talent. I think NXT would be well worth trying to get hold of him. We also saw Samuel Shaw go, who again had quite a strange character, but again, good wrestler, just didn't make the most of him. And we saw as well after this show, in a great match I thought, between Low-Key, Tigre Uno and Grado, who's one of my favourites. Saw a really good match between those three, and then we find out that Loki's leaving as well.
Well, again, like, you wonder if it's something to do with what's going on behind the scenes, and if he's walking away because like he's not entirely sure of what's going on with the company. He wants to go back to Japan where he can make his money. They love him over there, so he can just go over there. He knows he's going to be happy over there. He's got everything set for him. Whereas in TNA, it's just uncertainty. That's the key word.
He can go over there and put on a hitman suit and get fired again.
He can do.
But I mean, yeah, this is what it makes me think. There's just no knowing of what's going on here, and it's just crazy. It's exciting in terms of being a wrestling fan to watch, but I mean, for those wrestlers backstage, it must have been, really worrying. But then it's like, then you look at the other side of it. It's like, but then they've just gone and acquired Hernandez to come back and be a member of the BDC. So he's a member of the Beatdown Clan. And so Hernandez has come in, Loki's gone out. Hernandez is now on, this is real interesting. Wow, there's so much to talk about. Hernandez is going to be on TNA at the same time as he's going to be on Lucha Underground.
Has he got like 2 deals going on at the minute?
No. He left Lucha to go to TNA, but they've taped so far ahead Lucha Underground that he's going to be on both shows. He's done a Rick Rude. So why
but
would...
At this point, he could leave TNA though, and they'll tape so many shows, he could go somewhere else and he'll be on 3.
But why would you do that? If this company's in jeopardy, why are guys going there? I think I saw as well guys like Petey Williams and everybody performing in the X Division again. I'm like thinking, well, if you've gone and acquired Petey Williams back, a Canadian Destroyer and all sorts of like that, I'm thinking, yeah, this is like awesome. The guys that you're acquiring, if you can get them all back, I don't know whether it's like one deal only, nightly appearances, but I don't know. You get Sanjay Dutt back. I don't know why they let him go and let him go GFW, but it's just crazy. I can't work out whether this company's like on the up or whether it's on the decline. So God knows what the talent thinks.
Well, that's the thing. Like the talent don't know what's going on. That's the main problem. But what it kind of makes me think is if Jarrett is on board, then it's not something where it's going to be like Jarrett said and they've just given him a phone call and he showed up. Like surely this is something that they've planned through. Because if they've called them and just says, "Oh, come down, you can be in a match," like that's classic Dixie at that point. But surely there's been something planned in advance, and maybe Jarrett's had the chance to then go to people like Hernandez, Peter Williams, and like all these like ex-TNA guys and says, "Look, this is what we're working on. This is the future. Get involved. Come on in and be a part of it." And that could explain why they've now started coming back to it, because they know what's going on. But then you've got the actual Impact roster who don't seem to know anything about what's going on. And you've got people where the contracts are starting to run out and they're questioning whether they're actually going to jump ship and go somewhere else. So I think it'd just be a really awkward time to be a member of that roster, not knowing what's going on.
For me, the big interest for me is if Austin Aries resigns. Because if there's anybody that would give a clear sign whether this is good or bad, it's Aries. If Aries resigns, I think that there's probably quite a lot of good things coming out of TNA. If Aries decides to go elsewhere, because I reckon he'd definitely get on NXT, then I'd maybe think that he can see the writing on the wall. One thing I would say about Jeff is if he did acquire TNA, I think he might be quite good at reassuring that is a stable home for wrestling this time round. I don't think he'd be so naive to sell up so soon.
I think so. I think people would listen to him and take in what he says a lot more than they would from Dixie.
So, I mean, I think there's an opportunity there, but I don't want to see I don't want to see TNA be eaten up by GFW. I don't think that's right. I think to have 3 wrestling companies under one umbrella is much better. What did you actually... Because as I said, he came out to no music, so that's why no pop. Because the crowd ain't great, but if you play that music is pretty, I don't know, pretty well known to Jeff Jarrett. It's like, if I hear that music, and I like that theme song, and I think it gets you going the minute it gets played, that music comes on, that crowd immediately get up. What happened? He just come wandering out during a segment where they're talking to Josh Matthews and the Pope. And I think that apparently, well, obviously no one really knew about it, but I reckon Josh Matthews did. But Pope didn't know about it, so that's why he was in shock. But Josh Matthews was sort of just like underplaying it in terms of commentaries, like this is the man that used to own the company. And I sort of felt, well, if the music had come on it was like he did say they broke the internet, fair play to him. But if that had been made a bit bigger, like all of a sudden you just hear that, well, come on. And it's like, everybody would have been like, what's he do? You know? That for me would have been much better. And then the actual speech itself, I agreed with him a lot of what he said, that he felt like he'd been shafted. When he left, I was quite worried about TNA because I thought, it was his like baby and he made it. Why he want return, like Karen says, is I completely agree because he's supposed to be building GFW. So what does that say about Global Force Wrestling? I've fired about 600 questions at you there, so feel free to pick apart what you want.
Yeah, I'm not sure which to kind of answer first. I think the reaction was something that was missing. Like, it would have helped a lot if the music was on there. And I'm sure there would be people that recognize it, but like I said before, a lot of the crowd they didn't seem like too interested. It was like they're just there on holiday. So I don't know how many of them would have actually reacted to it. As for the promo though, I thought it made a lot of sense. There was a lot of truth behind it. So people that know what's gone on, like, they'll have picked up on that. And I think it's interesting, but it just brings up the whole point of what Jarrett said in the promo, where he spent so long working on JFW. Why would he want to come back to TNA at this point?
It was quite a cutting promo, actually, as well. The way, Karen's bit was particularly bad towards TNA. Why would you let someone come out on open mic and pretty much say that she didn't want to be here?
Well, that's the thing. It's something that they haven't really planned beforehand, so you don't know what's going to be said. And when you're putting someone out there that's going to be promoting their own company, surely that's not what you want. It's not like the WWE would say, like, come in, you can just have a live mic, say what you want, and let someone totally promote their own company. Like, they would totally go out with a fine-tooth comb first and make sure that there's everything in there that they agree with. Where with TNA, they've just said, go out there, say what you want to say, get it off your chest. And maybe that's one of the reasons that Jarrett's come back, because he's got the opportunity to do that. And he can say what he wants. He knows it's not going to be edited or anything like that. So
it's got to be scripted, though, because he's got to work the match.
It's scripted in the sense that it's a part of the plan, but what have I said? I don't think that's been scripted. I think that's just what he's been allowed to go out there with an open mic and just say what's on his chest to get it off there. And it kind of clears the air between them if there has been some sort of bad blood and things. So it's easier to get things out there and then just move past it rather than keep that inside and then have one party always holding that grudge.
So what ideal scenario, what would you have happen? Let's say you're the booker. I think everybody knows my booking situation. How would you book? Let's say obviously Jarrett's done his bit. How would you book it going forward? Let's say you don't know there's a King of the Mountain belt. Don't know what the fuck that is, but you're booking it. So how do you book TNA? Let's say there's no tape shows either as well at the moment. Clean slate, Slammiversary coming up. What do you book?
I would book it so that the winner of the King of the Mountain gets the title shot. I would have Jarrett win it, but I don't know if I would have the roster of GFW come in to give him a hand. I would maybe have him win it on his own and then have him come out and say, I come back for this one match, but now they've dangled the carrot in front of us that I can have this title match, and that's my title. I want to take that home. It's my baby. So you can go out, have the title match, then have someone from the GFW roster get involved, just come through the crowd, cost whoever's the champion in the match, so Jarrett wins the title, and then Jarrett can say that he's taken the title at that point. There'll be a whole struggle between the two of them. And rather than involving the whole roster, you just have like a couple of guys, like the more well-known guys. So like they won't interfere in every single match. If you've got like the Bullet Club, they can get involved in the tag team, because I think that would like bring some like incredible matches between the Wolves, the Bullet Club. There's so many people on that roster that you could put together dream matches with, but I don't think it's right to bring them in and just do a full card of that. So you've got your TNA storylines that are continuing, but make the main thing about the title and Jeff Jarrett, maybe Kurt Angle as well, because they've got the history of Angle's okay with it. And then just play that out, have someone get involved, and then eventually leading up to the point where, you know, TNA need to bring someone in to gain the sort of the power in this power struggle, so that they can gain, resume like control of their own company. And they could bring up like the AJ Styles thing, like bring him back in, but which way is he going to go? Is he going to go with Jarrett, the guy that gave him the chance, or is he going to stay loyal to TNA? So it's kind of like, which way is AJ going to go? Bring him in, and I think that could lead to a kind of interesting match as well.
Well, that's what I mean. Your story makes a lot more sense. It's like it's played out, and you can have, imagine the sort of backstage segments that you could have. You could have the likes of Bobby Roode going to Dixie and saying, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you letting this guy come back for? You know, what are you doing? You're going to lose your company to him if you keep this up." And you could have some real amazing interaction with the talent and the management, and play it off so well. But I mean, it feels really like they've completely botched this if they're going down a route of King of the Mountain. Your booking could work over like 6 to 12 months.
It could. Well, it's a long-term plan. It's not something that you need to rush. Like, the rush thing is what's happened here. Like, maybe Dixie's just realised we've got Slammiversary of the pay-per-view, but everything's happening on Impact. We've got nothing there. Let's get Jeff Jarrett in. Let's put him in a match. Oh, hang on. We need something to be on the line. Well, we're taping next week's TV next week, so Jarrett's not going to have time for that. We'll just create a new championship. We'll put that on the line. So it's all very rushed. It's something that they really should have planned out, but it makes me feel as though this is quite a last-minute thing.
Yeah, and this is the worrying thing about TNA, because it's like, if you're going to have lessons learned, you're not learning them because you're still doing these silly things like this. So, like I say, I am like the biggest TNA fan to want them to do well. And if I watch back the show that we just saw, and I see what we saw great segments between EC3 and Kurt Angle. We saw the Full Metal Mayhem. We saw the X Division looking more like the X Division. Yes, you can hate on Grado, that's fine. You can complain about him, but he can wrestle, and he adds a different value. And actually, to be honest, the crowd love him anyway. He gets the crowd going. But in terms of who they gave the belt to, they made the right choice. They picked Tigre Uno, who's a great superstar to represent the X Division with the high-flying style. And, then we had obviously the segment with Jarrett. All in all, that show was a really solid show. If they perform that show week in, week out with solid storylines building up, and then Slammiversary comes after with the big title match at the end of it, with Jeff Jarrett maybe becoming number one contender, then the feud starts with GFW going out. You got yourself locked in for like 6 to 12 months worth of great entertainment. And what they've done instead is they've pre-recorded shitloads of stuff at the moment, which will fall out of sync with what comes out of Slammiversary. They've got to backtrack, people know the results. Arse backwards.
It is. That's totally the case. That's what's going on.
So, I mean, as much as I want TNA to do well, they have to review the stuff that they're doing. And please, We Talkers, do Dixie Carter a favour and make sure you do tweet her what we've been talking about today on We Talk. Or at least, just say, maybe you should have a listen to our podcast, because we point out quite a lot. And we're not critical to the point where we're saying, I'm not one of those imbeciles that says this product sucks. It doesn't suck. It's got so much goodness in it, but it just needs direction.
It does. That's the one thing it's missing. I'm a fan of TNA. I like what they're doing. I think they're on the right track. But then there's so many things that does let them down, and it's like, well, if they can sort this out and just plan things a little bit more, all the talent's there, the looks there, they've got everything else going for them. It needs someone to sit down and say, we need to get from point A to point B. Let's set point B first and then work backwards towards point A to make sure we know how to get there. Let's not just try and get there along the way. But I think what would be interesting is just if people let me know in the comments if they're actually interested in Slammiversary or if they're more interested in Impact. Because there's not really too much on that Slammiversary card that interests me. I'm more looking forward to next week's Impact.
Exactly. And the thing as well to think about is it shouldn't be like that. It should just be Slammiversary's coming up and we've got loads of stuff for you to be excited about. That's the be all and end all. So, yeah, guys, let us know. And are you confused with the situation? Because a lot of people don't really get that things have been already pre-booked and done and dusted. It's confusing. It's confusing for me.
Well, I was trying to find the match card for Impact because they've promoted it so much on the show. So I was trying to find that before this and actually look at some spoilers for next week. So that's kind of ruined next week's show for us already. So try and avoid that if you do.
Yeah. I just think that, like I say, production value, they've got it spot on, but the product value is the problem now. It's like, get your pay-per-view schedule. Stop having these I think it's Hardcore Justice Part 1, Part 2, both episodes on Impact. No. Just have 4 pay-per-views a year and all make them really awesome. Just do something like that. And that would work perfectly, and change the look and style of the arena in terms to match them. So have the banners for certain things, change the colour of the ropes, change the aprons a little bit, make it look smart. It's just simple things to just get right. They do the hard work in putting on the great shows in terms of the wrestling. It's so annoying because it could be so much better than what it is. And I'd say arguably they put on just as good wrestling. They put on arguably better wrestling than a Monday Night Raw does. Raw doesn't do a lot for me at all. NXT's the standout show, but when I look at it like that, then I think to myself, why do you constantly miss the trick?
Well, that's the thing. I think this week especially, watching TNA, I enjoy that way more than I did when I watched Raw. I think Raw was just so boring with the whole set thing for 3 hours, whereas TNA, it was a shorter show and there was so much going on. There wasn't just the focus on one main thing.
2 hours and multiple segments, everything means something, a belt's on the line or something like that. But like I say, it's like doing that with reason and not just throwing it all into one night and letting it all go. It's like it's the week before the pay-per-view, so you do throw shitloads in, but you don't give away the selling point. You let that go into the pay-per-view, and what they did is they chuck it all at it, and then they let the aftermath come out after the pay-per-view, but the pay-per-view didn't have any bite to it. So it's like, why? So, I don't know. It's
very confusing.
You get to the end and you're like, wow. I mean, we've just talked a lot about GFW, TNA. One question I will ask you, a perfect way maybe to end it. What do you think of GFW? Because from what I've seen of it and from what I've seen of their roster, filling up baseball stadiums, this is what was needed, this deal with TNA, because they weren't getting anywhere quick. So, but what is my thought of GFW other than them working with TNA? Wasn't very much.
I don't know what to say, because I don't know what I think of GFW at this point. I would rather wait and see how it develops and what they do in terms of their own show.
Scott Steiner's on their show.
See, that doesn't fill us with great confidence.
Yeah.
There's alarm bells going off in my head, and it's not just his entrance music.
Nice one. I mean, guys, you got to get involved in this talking point. It's the buzz at the moment. At least it's generated a buzz. That's what I say. It's got wrestling at the moment. Professional wrestling is just mental. It's great. It's great for guys like us talking about it. It's exciting. At least we're not coming here and saying, which would basically be us talking about Kane again. But you know.
But I think it's maybe been a little bit of a wee moan episode at the same time. But it's only because we care so much.
I wouldn't say moan. I'd say critical.
Yeah, way critical.
Because there was, like I said, this week's Impact was an awesome show. But finding out the direction of it then puts me on a downer.
It does. It's just there's so much that's right, but there's so much that's wrong, and that's just what frustrates everyone.
Yeah, and I'm sure it frustrates the talent as well. So, I mean, guys, get involved in this. It's going to be great. I really, actually, am really looking forward to talking to you guys. Number one, about Lesnar anyway, but talking about TNA and what's going on there at the moment with GFW, ROH. It's going to be good to hear from you all. So let us know via the comment section below your thoughts on Jeff Jarrett's arrival and what's gone down. It's going to be good. And I guess,
Hope so.
Paul, it's time, as per usual, for you to have another shameless plug.
Well, I'm not entirely sure what I'm uploading this weekend at the minute, but there is a page mod coming through. So if you picked up the PC version and you are disappointed that Paige wasn't actually in the game, then Prince Stone's actually made a really cool mod that includes a brand new Paige character. You can either add her into the game as a brand new character, so you don't have to replace anyone, although that's slightly more complicated, but you can just replace her with another diva. So for the time being, I've just replaced her as Cameron. So it's cool to have Paige in there. It looks incredible. It looks like an actual superstar that 2K's made. So make sure to check that out. And aside from that, all this talk about GFW versus TNA, I think it's time that me and you done sort of a battle of we talk. Maybe it's time that you faced me in a beat the clock challenge, because I need someone that I know I can beat. I need someone that I can get back on track on after getting defeated last week by L. I need to get back on the winning side.
Are you calling me out?
I'm calling you out. Are you up to the challenge? The beat the clock challenge?
I don't even need to worry about beating the clock. You just got to be worried about me beating your ass if I take you up on this challenge.
I don't think so. I think I'm ready for this one. It took us like a couple of weeks. I was getting a little bit rusty, and Elle took advantage of that. But now I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I think after this we should dive straight into it. We should take on, just see who comes out the better man. And while we're at it, I just want to point out, when you beat us on FIFA, as I uploaded, my controller batteries went. So you took on my defense, and they weren't even being controlled. They were standing still. So I think we should be rematching FIFA as well while we're at it.
Whether or not, if you took the batteries out or not, your defence was still standing still as I ran past them every time. So let's be honest, wouldn't have mattered.
This was one time in the last second of the game, so I didn't even have a chance to respond.
You wouldn't have had a chance to respond anyway. You were done, dusted, kaput, beaten, destroyed by the destroyer that is Delzinski. And it would be the same. And yeah, if you want to challenge me now, and you want to go one-on-one with the great one, yeah, I stole a line from The Rock, then we'll do this. We'll do this right now, straight after we talk. I'll whoop your ass at Beat the Clock, and then I will whoop your ass at FIFA as well.
Well, that is quite the words to come out with. I don't know if you're going to be up to that challenge, though. It's good to see you actually not quoting John Cena for a change, though. But I'm going to leave you, like, devastated in the middle of that ring, sobbing, with a Rusev expression on your face.
You sound like Roman Reigns. Has someone been writing your promos for you?
I don't need anyone to write my promos.
I don't know. My promo a minute ago was much better than my one for Fam as well.
It was, with your weird accent. Where are you from again?
From America, apparently.
Yeah, some kind of Texan.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I could do any accents. I could talk Chinese or whatever it is, Mandarin or whatever it is that John Cena does. I'm referencing John Cena because I can talk any language and still beat you down.
You're like Cesaro now. You're still in his gimmick?
Being the best.
Well, he's not on TV, so I'll make sure I take you off TV as well.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm taking you up on this challenge, and then we will let you know. Make sure you check out Smack Talk's Beat the Clock challenge, where he's going to get beaten by me.
There's no chance in hell.
And just imagine, if I'm beating you, then what does it say for the Famiversary, where, again, I'll beat you again, and I'll beat all the other YouTubers. Who have we got there?
I think it's going to be a case of you get 2 defeats in one day, and I don't know if you can take that. Because not only are you going against me in the Beat the Clock challenge, then you've got me in the Fam. Is it a gauntlet match? I'm not entirely sure.
You don't even know what the match is. You ain't going to be able to beat me.
Well, that's the thing. I don't worry about these things. I know I'm the best. So I don't even have to prepare. I just walk in there, walk out with the title. That's all I need to do. It doesn't matter if you come down a gauntlet match, if it's 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1. I'll take you all on. It doesn't bother me.
It should bother you. I reckon you're gonna get bitch slapped by Tom Cushney, then you're gonna get dropped by the 101, then Grimm's gonna have a toy show all over you because you're done and dusted, and then I can't even remember the rest of the participants because, quite frankly, it doesn't matter because there's only one winner, and the winner is me, the dash into the D to the Delzinski. So you are done, and I am out of here. And I mean, I'm putting rhymes together. Maybe I should even have a music deal going on right now.
You should set up your own sort of rap battle against some other YouTubers. Some come to mind. I won't mention them, but that could be quite interesting. Maybe that's something you should look into.
They don't want to be destroyed by me. I am the Doctor.
The Dashing D.
The Dashing D. That kind of brings us to the end. Guys, if you want to see me versus Smack Talks in the Beat the Clock challenge.
Come on, do your homework. You know what it's called.
I don't know. It could be really dodgy, though, if you do say it wrong. There's a lot of bad words you could come out with if you do get those pronunciations wrong.
Yeah, try not to rhyme these, because it's not going to work out well, is it?
Yeah, that's why I made sure that I'm not involving those exact lines in my promo, because I don't want to say something that could sound seriously dodge. So check out the Beat the Clock challenge between me and Smack Talks. We're playing it after we talk today, and it will be up on Smack Talks channel, and he will then have to live with the shame that the Dashing One has destroyed him.
No chance. Not gonna happen.
Anyway, guys, that brings us to the end of this week's We Talk. Check that out. Check out Famiversary. Making sure I shout that out as well. That is on the Fam channel, so make sure you check that out. And also, let's get in there as well. Tonight is Capital Punishment, SNME Universe Mode, massive pay-per-view. You got a whole weekend of wrestling content coming your way. So make sure you do check all of that out. Big night, big weekend, big We Talk. Are you going to catch us later, or are you still button bashing, practicing to try and be good at this game?
Be good at this game. I've been good at this game since the game even started. So I guess I'll beat you later.
Oh, he thinks he's the best since day one. He's like CM Punk, but that means he's a quitter, and that means he's going to lose. This is Delzinski signing out.
Hi, wrestling fans and gamers. Velvet Sky here, and I just want to say I've been hearing a rumor that Delzinski.com is the best place for video gaming and wrestling content. Now, if you're a wrestling fan and a hardcore gamer like myself, then I suggest you check out Delzinski.com. You will not be disappointed. Holler!